Hello everyone and welcome back to PAX and Recreation. Why did it? Because cowboys, I guess, I don't know. I don't recall using this playmat, but I got it back when Thunder Junction was a thing. And I think both the card and the playmat and just the key art overall are very representative of everything. This is pop culture. This is not even Wizards' fault. This is pop culture as a whole. It's like, oh, I heard you like Fibbleputh, which I guess is pronounced like that, Fibbleputh, I guess, but there are no vowels, so we heard you like Fibbleputh, so what about we do the same thing again, but now with a cowboy hat. So I really like this art. It feels kind of weird. It's like this guy is in the middle of a river, like you know, and there are dragons on the sides doing whatever. It's very weird as a representation of Thunder Junction because in the original art, he's lost in the middle of a big city, which is Ravnica. Nowadays, it will be New York, so look out for that special secret lair of Fibbleputh lost in New York with Spider-Man and the Ninja Turtles. But here it looks kind of weird. It's like, there are dragons in Thunder Junction. I mean, there's everything in Thunder Junction, I guess, because it's a junction, but it doesn't feel like it feels the flavor. But whatever. Funny enough, we're not opening Thunder Junction. We are going to open Foundations. So why? Because this is one of those boxes that I had laying around since, well, Foundation was a thing. And similar to the previous one that we opened from Duskmourn. And these are the boxes that I had like that. I was like, I will open it one day. And then the channel, normally we don't open boxes like this. But now that we're doing the podcast format, which in case you are new, yes, it's going to be like a podcast. So whenever you hear me going like, whoa, crazy, that's when you are supposed to look to the screen. But so Foundations, which ironically is 1 year old. Doesn't that feel like it's just kind of crazy? Like, I don't know if it's just a me thing. Maybe it's because my year was kind of eventful, or maybe it was the same for other people. I don't know, but you know, I realized that the previous week when we were doing Duskmourn, and I was like, "Hey, Halloween is coming," and then you were like, "Halloween is coming again," and it's like, well, I mean, I have the Duskmourn cards, and it's like, bro, that thing is like a year old, and you know, that doesn't mean that it's like old. This box had a beating, which, I mean, on paper, yes. I mean, technically, yes, it's old. It's like 1 year old, but you know, it's like Foundations. It's like, oh man, Foundations. Like Foundations is a year old. I remember when Foundations was released, some products in Foundations were like out of stock, and some even were like chase products, and Wizards had to be like, people, this set is gonna be valid for like 7 years. Like, chill. Like, see, like, here's a Shivan dragon. You guys are not going, you know, it's like nothing crazy, boys. It's just a Shivan dragon, right? So there is something I like about Foundation. Ironically, I don't know if you know, it may be because of the nature of the game, but I did look around. Oh, Swiftfoot Boots. Damn. Condemn right away in the first pack. See, this is when you're supposed to look at the screen. Damn. There you go. Right there. Nice art. So Condemn for 1 white, even though that white is kind of a stylized white, but you know, it's an instant. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its control against life equal to its toughness. And it even has flavor text. Cyclical as the passing of days, the fiend will return again, and like the sun rising, so will the champion to slay it. Heroics, Book of Fables, or a Book of Fables. So nice. Even in the and Solemn Simulacrum. Well, I don't need to open anything else in the box, guys. Thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. You know, it's not. I mean, it's not like these are crazy pulls and I'm gonna be rich. It's just like, you know, it's the things you need to be like a commander deck and whatnot, which is basically part of the reason why you should buy Foundations, is, well, the Foundation. But ironically, I don't know if it's a me thing. I would like, I've been looking around, But I do feel like you don't get foundations as easy as I would expect for a core set that is supposed to be printed to the ground. You know what I mean? Like, and I think part of the fault. Then again, if you go to like Amazon, in Amazon you can find some foundation stuff, but not a lot. And that's funny because Amazon is basically like, Amazon has infinite resources, right? So yes, they do stock management and whatnot, but I doubt that Amazon is like, oh, we don't have enough room for having 20 boxes of foundations. Like, it's fairly nice. Soulstone Sanctuary. It's nice. It's like fairly inexpensive in terms of space compared to other things. So I wouldn't be like, oh, Amazon doesn't have stock. Like, Amazon has some. They even had like full art planes and whatnot. This set is cool. I like this set, even though it's like a non-set, but I like it. See, like, everything is like basic Magic, which is cool. I think that maybe the name Foundations is good and bad. Maybe. I to this day I still have mixed feelings with it, and even more mixed feelings with the translations for the name in like German and Spanish and French, because it's the word foundations, but still, Janowar elves or Lanowar elves, as some people say. See, a lot of those cards are like essentials, right? But you kind of, sometimes you need that card like 10 times because of all you have a lot of commander decks. And my policy for Evolving Wilds, my policy for repeating cards in commander is, listen, if I have one, because I know that some people have like mixed feelings with proxies and whatnot, and that's fair, right? So everyone has their own, I guess, moral compass and electro duplicate and all that. Ooh, Arabo the First Fang. Other cards you control get +1/+1. Whenever Arabo or other non-creature card you control enters, create a +1/1 white cat creature token. Okay. I think that a lot of people, to a degree, art cards. Remember these ones? Crazy. I think that a lot of people, tend to, I don't know. Some people don't like proxies because of the feeling. Some people don't like proxies because they feel it's, X, Y, and Z. Some other people just do proxies, whatever. The only take that I don't think is very valid is attacking people that use proxies on a monetary basis. Like, oh, you're proxying because you can't afford the real cards and shit like that. It's like, brother, do you want to play or do you want to invest, right? Because if I'm using proxies against you, and like we have agreed rules, right? So as I explained, that it happened in my friends group, we agreed on some rules. So those rules, the best way was, now there are brackets, so you can use those. For us, it was monetary value, right? If we're going to go crazy proxy mode, nice, Ashwood Animist. If we're going to go like crazy proxy mode, the best way is to either limit the amount of proxies. You can go like, okay, you can have 10 proxies in your deck, right? Both to accommodate for crazy things and to compensate for cards that you don't want or can't buy, that sort of thing. To me, that approach is kind of good because, you see, my problem with, I don't have anything against proxies, quite the opposite, but my problem with proxies in Commander is not the proxies themselves, like it's not from an elitist standpoint, because let's be honest, Magic is a little bit pay to win, a lot. Like if you have the dual lands and all that shit, like if you have like 10,000 bucks, your deck is gonna be mathematically better than anything that I can build with 100, right? Because that's how the game is, and that's why we did like a hard limit for proxies, like 300 bucks. Is the theoretical, or 100, it depends on the era that we're playing, and that was our way of doing basically the tiers that Gavin developed, because so it's like, okay, the deck, the limit is 200 bucks, right of the dragon color. Okay, 4 and 2 red enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with fly. Okay, cool. So we put like 300 bucks, and that, believe it or not, that kind of makes it easy because you build your deck, And in Moxfield, if it is $300, it's okay. And it, the fun thing about Magic is that Magic cards have value based on their gameplay value, right? So obviously some cards, like one-of-ones or serialized cards and very rare cards, are expensive because they are rare. But, just because a card is mythic or rare doesn't automatically make the card more expensive, because some of those are not very good. So they may be more expensive on the basis that, it's more difficult to pull. So maybe they cost like $1 or $2 or something like that. But if the card is not good mechanically, it doesn't matter, right? It's not like other card games, for example, in Pokemon, that it's like, oh, these EVs, you have the normal evolutions, and then you have the all pretty versions of them, and those are expensive as hell. But it's a visual thing. Magic also has the visual treatment, and obviously the difference between Scavenging Ooze, the difference between and Spinner of Souls in foil, the difference between the normal Magic card and the special treatment Magic card is that if the card is good, the special treatment is going to be more expensive. Ironically, it's not linear, and it doesn't happen always, which is something that I really love to study about Magic. And because sometimes and this happened as we open boosters in this channel, sometimes I look at some boosters and go like, oh, so this card obviously has to be better, more expensive in full art. And then when we edit the video and we do the prices and whatnot, not really. Turns out that it's kind of weird. Sometimes if people just prefer the non-foil version, because a lot of people just don't like foils, which the more times move, the more I understand them, honestly. It's like they don't curl, the colors are better, etc. But sometimes it's like, this art is great, and people just like this one, and maybe the special art is like, and people don't buy that one. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. I don't like it. I don't support the secondary market in Magic, but it's interesting to see it as a phenomenon. And to me, actually, what really destroys a little bit of the grace of the secondary market is that the secondary market used to be around playability. So, for example, why is Vivi so expensive? Because most decks in Standard use the freaking card, and it's a very good card. So it was based on its playable value. Now, the problem is that now it's getting... Well, I don't know if contaminated is the word. The word, sorry. The word is contaminated, but I don't know if contaminated is the word. But it's kind of polluted is the same. But it's getting mixed match with the collector culture from other card games, like Pokemon. And it's like, well, Magic doesn't work like that. That's why people a lot of times say, like, newcomers are like, oh, I pulled this card, should I grade it? And most Magic players are like, no, like, we play with those cards. The only card that I will be like, yeah, grade that, is like, it's a valuable card that or something that you like. And if it is a commander, yeah, I mean, if you really like the card, or it's a very expensive card, sure, grade it. I mean, the commander card is going to be like separate, you don't need to shuffle it. So, I mean, unless you need to shuffle it because you decide to not send it to the command zone, and then you have problems. So, see, in Magic, most of the value, obviously you can just grade it and have it in like your shelf or something. So it is what it is. Your shelf, not shelf. So you know what I mean. It really depends, but rule of thumb is like, just leave it and treat it with care, and that's kind of how it goes. But for proxies, yeah, it's basically what I was saying, which is like, we agreed on price, then we agreed on quantity, and I like, nice, these 8 commander classics. Speaking about great commanders, Krenko Mob Boss and the Scrolling Crawler, nice. I feel like I like the price limit, and we actually sometimes do the 2 for the price of 1, which is doing the price limit and doing a number of proxy limits. And why is that? So, not to gatekeep anyone, right? I really hate being like, oh, you're going to use proxy. Like, if you, for a deck that you're trying to play, you want to use proxies, you want to proxy a deck, as long as the table agrees, who cares, bro? So, but we need to agree, right? Because otherwise it happens like the situation that I described some podcasts ago. That is that, if someone is just proxying, I don't care about the proxy itself, but it's true that because of the nature of Magic, your decks are going to be naturally more powerful than anything that I can come up with my own resources. So I go to proxy and then basically become CEDH, which I love because it's basically Commander but with the with the will to win instead of just being like, hey guys, we're here to have a good time, which is okay, but Magic is supposed to be a game about winning. Mustborn Hydra. And so to me, the best balance of sorts is like, okay, you want to try new things, you want to do some nice looking card. You want to do from Jorge Jacinto, nice. You want to do some cool looking decks, etc. I feel like having a limit like 10 or 20 proxies per deck and having a price limit on the overall deck is the best way to go. It feels kind of like doing homework instead of just doing deck building, but that's why how you create a balanced experience in Commander, and you can just fight each other. Even if you do like casual Commander duel, which is Commander 1v1 with slight modifications, having those limits is still good because then there are no surprises. But actually, and this is one of the things that I like the most, when you agree on having a price limit and a proxy quantity in your deck, is that you still retain the one of the things that gave, because it's no longer the case in most cases, but one of the things that gave Commander or Elder Dragon Highlander its original flavor, if I had to say, which was, you remember that yours is a singleton format. So you can only use one of each. A big reason for this was actually for you to use a lot of the cards that you have just laying around. Cards that you only have a copy of each. Like, for example, you open this booster box, some of these cards are going to have more than one copy, like War Elves, but some of the other cards are going to have only a copy. And, in a standard, you can have 4, so mathematically, the best way to play anything is to do a very small deck, 60 cards, and have as many copies of the same cards as you can and have like a predictable strategy. Commander with 100 cards and pulling Swiftfoot Boots and pulling Quilled Great Worm. Okay, not bad booster. Still nothing beats the first in my humble opinion, but whatever. It is 4/2/2 green, so a 4 and green 7/7 worm. Has trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage during your turn, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. It must survive to get these counters. Good clarification. And then you may cast these cards from your graveyard by removing the counters from among creatures you control in addition to paying its other costs. Okay. Not bad. So part of the grace was, just grab things from your shoe boxes. Maybe you have like one copy of this card, one copy of that card, and you make it match your dragon identity or later the commander identity, and you do something. So that scrap, like, that like last resort scraps commander deck building is something that I like because, it tells a story of your Magic the Gathering journey and your tastes, right? You have everyone that has played Magic for a while has a shoebox or some equivalent with some cards, and you have one copy of this, one copy of that. If we agree that you have to build your cards with your leftovers, and okay, yes, if you want proxies, you can have like 10 proxies, and this is the price limit. It creates a very interesting kind of janky way of playing Commander. It's kind of balanced and it's kind of okay, you know what I mean? Instead of being Drake Hatcher, okay. For 1 and 1 blue, Vigilance, Prowess, 1/3. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many incubation counters on it, remove 3 incubation counters, and you create a 2/2 blue Drake creature talking with flying. Okay. I feel that by doing that limitation, you get that old school kitchen table feeling that is not this ultra optimized current status of Magic. I think that nowadays Commander went full circle. It went from like, oh, this is a nice thing that we do, to it was Elder Dragon. Then it became kind of Commander when Wizards looked at it, and Wizards was like, okay, we can do some products for it. Then it became the de facto way of playing Magic. And in my opinion, the reason why it became the de facto way of playing Magic is because it is convenient. I mean, not only is it very feel goody, but also because politics and all that stuff, winning is optional. But you use whatever you have, and it kept evolving. And now we're in an era where might as well just buy a precon, which is a good entry point. And when people want to play with precons, I use my own precons. I actually said multiple times that I prefer playing precon against precon multiple times. If we're going to try hard, I will try hard. We need to agree on the rules, and there you go. Because Commander is rule 0, which is basically talk to people, boys, please, is essential to enjoy Commander. Not only what is banned, what is not banned, but what level of decks we're using. And that's what Gavin and the team are trying to solve by creating those tiers, right? Those saying like, oh, this is a level 2, this is a level 3. These are just ways to simplify the conversation so that the game can be more or less balanced in a format that is not balanced. And when it was balanced, was because similar people from similar groups and social groups, I guess, had a similar amount of Magic cards. Obviously, Etali, nice. Obviously, all of us know or have a friend that has a crazy amount of cards and very legendary cards because they started a lot earlier, or because they got them from their older brother or something like that. And that's cool, right? As long as that person is willing to downgrade a little bit so it's not unfair for everyone else. It's the prof says it's a casual format, and there is a joke, people, even myself, I do it like imitating the prof, like Commander is a casual format. But the thing is that it is like, it's about it's about like having a nice time and just enjoying by using the scraps you have. That was kind of the feeling. Now between precons and sets, even sets that are specifically for Commander, all sets have Commander specific cards. And you have all these great channels that give you very significant deck building tips. And those channels really go deep. It's like, oh, you do this and this plus this, and even precon upgrade guides. Damn, some of those channels are like crazy. So okay, so you go buy this precon with $50, you get it, you get like a super deck, and with 100 is a god deck. You're like, damn. And that's good, that's valid. And people love crafting decks, and that's like half the battle in Magic, right? So that's part of why Magic is lovely. But then if the rest of the group is not the same mindset, then it's not going to work. Whenever I look at this art, I think of Castlevania, because for some reason, it really reminds me of that art of the... I think it's Castlevania 1. If not, it's Super Castlevania, but I think it's Castlevania 1, of like Simon looking at the castle. And I know that this is just basically someone throwing a spear, but since this is reminiscent of a whip, well, actually, it looks like they threw a spear with a whip. Well, I guess it's what's the name of this weapon? Because it says the champion reached for a stone, and Heliod placed the stone into her hand. So I don't remember the name of that weapon, but yeah, basically they threw a stone. It looks like a whip. It's one of those things that is etching my brain for no good reason. I think that it's basically that. It's just like, agree with people, you go there. Because I have played in try-hard tables, and I loved every second of it. Even if my deck was underpowered compared to some of those dudes, I loved every... There's a lot of Theros cards in here, and I'm enjoying every second. Mustborn Hydra. I enjoyed every second of playing in those try-hard tables. But because I have that type of personality, I am that person that, you will be like, oh, let's play Street Fighter, right? And I play Street Fighter and I lose, and I will be insisting on a rematch. It's not because I don't take losing properly. It's like, no, I love losing. But when I say like, let's go, I love it. It's part of life, right? Winning and losing to me is the same. Winning just means that I got my way. Losing means that I couldn't get my way. And when I say like, let's play again, it's not like, let's play until I win. It's just like, let's play so that I can train. Let's play so that I can be better, right? It's part of the training. In things like Street Fighter or even sports and things like that, it's literally that. It's like, let me keep training against you, with you, so I can be better. And then, I think I told this story already. I played with a friend. He was very good at Street Fighter. I think he won. We played like the entire afternoon. He won like 30 games in a row, or 32, some shit like that. And bless his soul, he was very patient because I was giving some fight, but obviously he was a lot better than me, so he could be bored. But I was like, listen, if you don't want, we can stop. I said, no, I'm enjoying this. And I got better and better, which is a mix between heating up and getting used to playing against him in particular. And we played like 30, 40 times. I don't know. I lost every single one of those. And then I won. I won once, and he was like, damn, I guess now you won't play anymore. I was like, no, let's keep doing it. And then I lost again, and then I won again, and but that's the beauty. And then he trained on his own, I trained on my own, we met again, that's the beauty of having a rival. And in playing Magic, 1v1, the same. I played a lot with a friend of mine, which we played a Commander 1v1, and then we figured out that someone invented a format and called it Dual Commander, which was basically what we were doing. I like the nature of Commander both because of the sketchiness of it, of like putting your resources together. Oh, damn, it's loot. hide your Jaces, people. Beast Noble, what the hell? So, and also because I like the aspect of like, okay, you have a central card and you build around it, and doing 1v1, actually, it invalidates a lot of strategies and cards that normally are used in Commander and are very powerful in Commander because it says for each opponent and things like that. But I think that the biggest problem in Commander is that you have more than one enemy, and it kind of invalidates the original purpose of Magic. Magic is straightforward because it's 1v1. When you and I play a game of Magic, there is only one objective for you, which is I should not win. Well, you want to win. I guess you have two objectives. I should not win and you should win, right? Those are your set. Everything you do has to be to put you in a board state above me, right? Like either it impairs me or benefits you. That's how it is. But in Commander, it kind of breaks the game. Oh, nice, Simone. It kind of breaks the game because you are not ready. Like the game is not done for that. You can try, but it's not really. Let me just read this card very quickly. Simone, Paradox Sculpture. For 2, 1 green, 1 blue, is a 1/4 human wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creature you control. If you pay green and blue and tap it, double the number of each kind of counters on up to 2 target creatures and or artifacts you control. Not bad. And it also creates this, not a bad commander. Having access to a card at all times facilitates some strategies. And is also nice. And it's also kind of cool because it removes Anthem of Champions. Nice. It removes some of the... one of the problems of Magic is... Problems, big quotations, is the randomness of it. Like every game is different, which is good, but as a strategy, basically part of your planning, of your deck building, is to account for randomness, which is okay. But it's not a solid state. With Commander, you always have a fixed piece, so you know that you can build everything around that piece because you always have that piece at hand. And it's interesting how it changes the way that you think doing deck building and whatnot, right? So Elenda, Saint of Dusk. Nice. So, when it comes down to 1v1 Commander, it is what it is. Olivier Bernard. A nice card. But in Commander, suddenly it's not as easy. Like a lot of things you do, like it's the common thing. Like when someone does anything, that's why there is that running joke of like, oh, when people play Commander, they are basically playing they want to play it solitaire, accompanied by 3 people, right? And it kind of makes sense. You realize that a lot of Commander players, when you touch their board state, they get very angry and triggered and all that stuff. It's like, brother, we're here to play. And a lot of people don't even run removal in their decks because, people will get triggered. It's like, are we serious? Then what is this? Like, is this like Age of Empires? Whoever builds faster gets an advantage? Like, it doesn't, doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense. It's Arabo again, but this time in full art. Nice. But it makes sense from a perspective of, from the economics of the game. Since there are 4 players, is not so much about attacking others, but more about you winning. The only way that you can win is by surviving, and the only way that you can survive is actually by not using resources. So that's why politics are so important in Commander, because your tongue is your most powerful weapon, because you can actually just redirect people by doing bargains and some stuff, and basically force people and yourself to do anti-game movements, like make movements that you will not normally do, like not optimal plays, things that you will normally not do in a Magic 1v1 game, because that will be stupid. But in Commander, you can ask people to do stupid things as long as you both agree that, you know, it's good for both. And that's the usual, I know you know about this, the usual conversation about dealing with threats. Nice, refute in foil. And a Slagstorm, of course. So, you know, like, can someone remove that, right? And sometimes you see people asking that question and they have resources themselves, but it becomes that thing, which is, well, if you use your resources to deal with something there, you don't have resources to protect your stuff, right? So you ask, like, you know what I mean? So it's very politics oriented, and that's not bad. I mean, it's a different type of game, but that's why there is all these patches and things that are being developed and conversation about Rule Zero, because the only way that a game like this works is if the entire pod, the 4 players on the table, agree on the mindset. I've been playing on tables where I say, well, I counter that, and people get very angry because I countered something, and then I got very angry because it's like, listen, we're here to play Magic. You're putting something on the table, I will counter it. And then they target me, and it gets people get very emotional about that. But also at the same time, I played some games that were amazing. That was just like people kicking each other in the ass all the time. Like, I want to do this. Nope, blocked, blocked, block, 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 block. Like just attacking each other and whatnot, like true battle royale. To be honest, most of those crazy action games that I had in Commander were, if not CEDH, something very close to that. Because I guess that when you're playing CEDH, which allows a lot of proxies by default, well, Commander allows proxies by default. I mean, it's not a professional format. You can use whatever proxies you want, but in CEDH, it's like less frowned upon, because it's like you're expected, right, to have the dual lands and to have the optimal strategy. The whole thing in CEDH is, if you can, why wouldn't you, right? Oh, 9 lives familiar, nice. So that means that if you want to proxy it, but you why wouldn't you have the best deck possible, right? And that's a very good feeling that also makes you understand that kind of all the strategies repeat all the time, because there are cards that are obviously the better card for that strategy or for that thing or for that angle. And it kind of shows that a lot of these commons and uncommons are literally just landfill material, because it's like no one will use them ever. And that's why I like Draft a lot, and I like Jumpstart when they do Jumpstart properly, not like the shitty set Jumpstarts, because you are forced to play with janky stuff. I love playing with optimized decks, but sometimes a lot of the better memories that I have with Magic, and my first memories with Magic, and even Yugi, and even Pokemon, were with the starter decks and stuff that was very slow and janky. And, the nostalgia bond gets tingly. Oh, comma the word eater. The nostalgia bond gets tingly, which I realize is a weird expression, but when you play like that, like not optimally, with old cards that you like the art or something like that, right? So it really, really comes down to what people on the table are feeling. But I feel like once you get a pod that is kind of on the same, it's about talking, right? This is like anything else in life. It's about communicating and understanding other people's positions and whatnot. Once you do it, and the pod is more or less on the same mindset, you're gonna have like great games of Commander. But until you do that, you see all these posts about like, I try to, and I understand. So people maybe don't have a group of friends to do this, and they go to an LGS, and that's why they're creating the tier system. Because in an LGS, nice, Valkyrie's Call. In an LGS, you just play with people. But since you're just playing with people, you also need to agree on rules with people. So people that you don't know. So, let's see this. 3 and 2 white for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token, non-angel creature you control dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. It has flying, and it's an angel in addition to the other types. Welcome, worthy one. Damn. That thing is kind of crazy. Okay. And a foil Janowar Elves? Crazy. And a foil land? Double crazy. A human? I don't know. So, again, it's all about talking, but obviously with your friends it's kind of easy than with, well, it depends on your social skills, I guess. Some people will also actually say that it's easier for them to talk to unknowns at the LGS and be tougher with them than it is with their friends because, you don't want to upset your friends and all that. And some people will be backwards saying, no, I can talk to my friends. I'm just not comfortable talking with unknown people. So again, there are as many people, there are as many personality types and as many tastes and likes and dislikes as there are asses in the world. So everyone has their own ass, everyone has their own opinion. So it's all about listening and trying to accommodate. And maybe this time it doesn't go your way, but you can agree like, okay, next game, can we do it this way? Or next time we play, can we do it this way? That type of thing. And as long as everyone agrees, we are here to play, right? And all this started because I was talking about Foundations being a set that is not easy to pull. It's not easy to get, not as easy to get as I would expect from a set that is supposed to last 7 years. In Amazon, you will expect to have a lot of stock, not always the case. And a lot of LGSs just don't ask for this because if players are not asking for this, then, I feel like when Wizards said like, oh, this set is going to be here forever, it's like, they are going to print some products because I don't see the starter products anymore. Maybe there are in your local stores or something. I don't see them in mine. The how to plays and all those cool things that I was like, oh, this is great for beginners. Authority of the Consuls and Youthful Valkyrie. Not bad. But I don't see those products anymore. So what happened there? Like, those are great for people to learn how to play Magic, but I don't see those anymore. So, and I think that when they said like, oh, this is like to have a foundation, what they meant is a lot of people, the usual suspects, are gonna, which includes like even big card stores, are just gonna buy a bunch of cards and sell the singles, and that will flood the single market with a lot of basic cards that everyone needs to do basic stuff like Macabre Waltz and all that, right? So stuff for a standard, right? Sadly, it's not what I would expect, which is I would like to see Foundation stuff very cheap in a store than just evergreen until it disappears in 7 years, which is what they said. Sadly, it's not the case. To be honest, I no longer understand properly. Like I don't understand like the distribution logic for Wizards. Oh, nice, Lila Axe. Because they said it was supposed to be evergreen. I don't see it as I expected it to be everywhere. So that sucks. And then, this is the alternate art of Drake Hatcher. Nice. And then, like Final Fantasy is a set that, the most successful Magic set is like, okay, they're going to do some reprint products for Christmas. And those reprint products are basically like a new bundle and some sin boxes. And that's good. But why there are no play booster boxes on stock? Like, is that difficult to just reprint the play booster boxes? Like, come on, the play booster boxes for any set are supposed to be an easy thing to get your hands on. They are not cheap, they're getting more expensive. But they were supposed to be an easy thing to get your hands on. Oh, Preposterous Proportions. Nice. Oh god, what is that? Nice. But for some reason, like if you tell me like, oh well, they can reprint collector boosters, I will be like, well, okay. I mean, that's the joke. I love these token art for fish. Ironically, none of my decks creates fishes for me, so I have a lot of these and no way of really using them. But like you're telling me like, oh, they're not gonna reprint collector boosters. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's collector boosters. It's a limited product. I don't agree with the prices. I don't agree with the thing, flying off the shelves and being a scalped. But I understand it's limited. But play boosters, come on, just reprint this shit. It's just, you don't like money? I don't understand. Foundations, some time ago, well, when Foundations was released, we opened collector boosters for Foundation. It's a very interesting exercise to open collector boosters for Foundations, because these cards are all reprints, right? And we know that. Like, you know, I knew that since the beginning. I said that in the video, etc. But some of these cards are very good, and some of these cards are epic. Epic in the sense that it's like, or legendary in the sense that it's like everyone knows that card. A lot of people use that card already. You know, that sort of thing. And opening like everything foil for cards that are very like, and then the special editions, the special treatments. Those are funny and also weird, because it's like getting a special treatment of some of those cards that they never reprinted, or they reprinted, but not with, you know, just with the same art, like you see here, like Macabre Waltz and all that. Then suddenly having a very weird new art in full style and whatnot, that was something cool. I wish they did that more often. Like, you know what else is a card that is very useful if you have a green deck? If you have a commander deck, you only need one. If you are building a standard deck and you need a mana dork in green, maybe you know what else. Like, it's a very classic card, and it's kind of worthless. Similar to Sol Ring. So, you know, which I guess what I'm trying to say is core sets should be back. Ooh, Tiny Bones, Bauble Burglar. Which is more than core sets, what people are really asking, and I guess that's me too, is reprint sets. You know, like greatest hits. Every 2-3 years, just reprint greatest hits. But obviously that's not worth it for Wizards, because they can just include the reprintable card, their reprinted cards on new sets with new art as chase cards, like they did with in Ixalan, the Lost Caves of Ixalan, and on Commander Masters with some Commander staples. That then, because I will never forget about this, then ironically, surprisingly, after they use Lotus Petal, I think. No. What's the name of the commander card that is banned? Lotus. Isn't it Lotus Petal? No, it's. Damn, I forgot the name. You can tell I am getting old. I will see. I have the card here. Give me a second. This art is great. Hero's Downfall. Rise the Past. Witness Protection. And land and nice. This is the Arabo from Chris Ran. Nice. So the card is called, okay, Jeweled Lotus. That's the card. Jeweled Lotus. So Jeweled Lotus, or Jeweled Lotus, is a card that was used in the box and everything for Commander Masters. And then for Ixalan, the Lost Caves of Ixalan, those caverns, of Ixalan, they used another chase card, which was Mana Tomb. No, Mana. Damn. You can tell that I don't use them that often because I don't remember. It's Mana. Well, you know, the other one, and then suddenly it's weirdly, you know, Mana. It's Mana Tomb. I don't think it's Mana Tomb. Well, surprisingly, then the format goes to Wizards, and then Wizards. You know, those cards are banned right after those sets casually use those cards as bait. You cannot suspect something fishy is there. Like, a lot of people waste money on that. To that, I am not very sympathetic with that, because I always say don't pay markups, don't pay whatever. And a lot of those cards are for Commander, so just use a proxy for that, my friend. Don't pay $100 for that. And some people just hold on to them like investments, which I don't agree. Omniscience, 7 and 3 green. You may cast a spell from your hand without paying. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost, which is crazy. And also Muldrotha. Well, this is the second to last booster and a good contender against the first one. Not bad. Double mythic, boys. Vampire Soul Color, and mana and goblin and zombie. So not like super sympathetic, because I always say just proxy, don't pay markups for that thing, etc. But because it's Commander, no one cares. But the weird, suspicious thing is that it happened. One thing happens, let's do the other, and then something else happens. It's weird things. I don't know. Don't want to get conspiranoid, but it's kind of weird. And it just happened that they banned 2 cards. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but come on. So, and mind you, it didn't affect me in any way because I have copies of both that I pulled in both sets. You can see the videos are in this channel. But since I don't sell my cards, if anything, I give them. I don't care. So, 1,000-Year Storm, okay, and Killen. Okay, for me, like the last booster is not bad, but the second to last and the first, in my opinion, best hitters. And the lands are just gorgeous and very reminiscent. So I guess just do more foundations. I know that they are not gonna do them, but imagine if we got like a foundations every year, basically like a core set. I guess some people will will not like that because that will mean like for next year there will be 8 sets. But foundations technically is always there. So, I guess just reprint it more. I don't know. Nothing in this, I actually don't know the prices, but I can tell you without checking, like this was not worth it as an unboxing. This was just whatever. It was just to, I do, one thing is for sure, I think that if you are on the boat of people that enjoy Magic for its original IP and the worlds of Magic, I think that actually one of the best sets for you to open to kind of to think about old times and have a good time is actually Foundations, because you have a lot of reprints from old times when we played Magic. And when I say old times, it's not even that old. You have like things from Theros, things from you have a little bit of everything. And it's like nice. It's just looking back, seeing reprints, going like nice. And I open a play booster box because it is what it is. But remember, you can actually draft with play booster boxes, so you can just maybe do a draft with this and just have nice memories. Now, the one thing I want to say is that Foundations should be more available, and Foundations should be a lot cheaper. Like if play booster boxes cost like $120 or something like that for new sets, at least. If they are not Universes Beyond, because those are more expensive, like the Foundation should be like $80. Sometimes I buy like Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and sometimes when I add stuff to the card and whatnot, and I go like, oh, that wasn't that much money. It's just because I mean it's still money, but I'm like badly accustomed to Magic the Gathering, because it's like, oh, I bought 2 boxes and a bundle, and it's like $300, you know what I mean? And then you do the same with Pokemon, and it's not as much. Or you do the same, or in Yugi, you can get like 3 times the amount of product. And you can be like, well, but different games, and Magic is the king of games, and all that. It's like, yeah, but I mean, it's still cardboard, my brother. Like, if it's still cardboard, and they do so many sets, and they print so many cards, shouldn't it actually be a little cheaper? Because they keep releasing and we keep buying. And yes, I saw the docs. I saw that they are the only thing that keeps Hasbro afloat. So yeah, I guess they're gonna milk that thing until. And if you were to listen to this podcast and thinking like, well, are there any news? Just to close, I will tell you, this week we only had like 2 relevant pieces of news. One is this one from Hasbro, and actually one of the Hasbro execs saying that basically if there is any property under the sun, they will sign it for Universes Beyond, something along those lines, which makes sense. They're treating Magic like Monopoly. As I said in the previous podcast, I don't hate it as long as you do the sets well. Like Doctor Who, well done. Warhammer, well done. And I don't care about Warhammer, so well done. The Lord of the Rings, well done. Final Fantasy, excellently done. Spider-Man, badly done. I'm nervous about Avatar, but I don't care if you put like, I don't care, because it is where we are. It's not gonna stop people, so get used to it. But I don't care if you add external properties to Magic, as long as you do the sets properly and I can play with them and the art style is cool and all that shit. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is Wizards is teasing what it seems to be like a secret lair. There's going to be like from memory Magic story or something like that. And it's like 10 cards. At the moment of recording this, they showed like 4 already or 5. And it's all legendary, mythic, legendary and mythic cards from like Magic's history, and with new art. Like the last one they showed was Urza's Saga, so that shit is gonna be expensive. And I mean, it's already sold out. I mean, it's not even the release date is not even out yet, but I can tell you it's already sold out, which is a shame. And yes, some people pointed correctly that thing is basically a From the Vault. Remember those? Yeah. And one of these days, by the way, I still have some From the Vaults that I bought not so long ago. I may open those in the channel. Maybe not for a podcast because the thing is not as big, but just in a video. Let me know if you want me to open something in particular, or if you want me to touch any topic. We can talk about quantum physics, for example, which is something that I'm very well versed in. And as usual, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, for having the patience to listen to my ramblings for 50 minutes plus. Well, I think it's 50 minutes. I'm like guessing it. So if I said these in the next 50 minutes, hit that like because I was right. So you know what I mean. Thank you. Hope you had a great time. See you next time. Bye.